All right, it's April 28th. Going to be working on the Dodge this weekend. Finally putting on a part here that I've been dreading. But got a few things done here recently. As I mentioned before, I got the benches done, the windshield's done. But now I'm tackling something a little more pain in the ass. So let me flip this around. All right. Dun, dun, dun. Where's my yellow bird? All right. This weekend I'm pulling the transmission out. I'm going to try and document it a little better than what I've seen online. But it's going to start off with, so I got the cover off here. I'm going to take the top cover of the transmission off, undo the brake line and the clutch line, pull those out, and drop the drive shaft. Not much to videotape there. Then, what I have done already, so I'm getting ahead of the game, because Saturday's right around the corner. I took one of the bolts out, right there, see? Goes right there. Whoop. Took that bolt out. I went and got a couple longer bolts. I'm going to cut the heads off of these bolts so I can put two on the top, and that's my alignments to help line it up, because I am not as young and as strong as I used to be. Bad back, bad shoulders, bad knee, you know, bad haircut. So that's the plan this weekend, is get that just dropped out, and then let's see what we got here. Ooh, look at this. That is brand new, old, stock throwout bearing. What does that say on there? 206516 BCA. That's a Y2065. So hopefully that's all it is. That's making all the noise. It goes away when I push in the clutch. When I first got it, the clutch was like way out of alignment, or had no free play. So hope that's all there is to it. And then I'm also going to take and heat up this lever here and move it over, give it a bend so I'm not banging into my legs, or my right leg. But all this here, I noticed it's missing some pins and some loose bolts, cable there. So I'm going to get all that out. I got some engine degreaser, all up, clean it all up. But I wanted to go shoot a little video before I eat dinner. If I feel like it, I'm going to come out here and start taking some of this stuff apart. It's going to be kind of dark out. So I'll bring you along a little bit. Let's see where it's at. Yeah, there it is right there, see? But like I say, it's kind of a heavy piece of machinery right there, and I don't think I'll be holding the camera and trying to finagle that out. But I did have a cheat. I'll see how this works, because let's go over here, all my junk. I took that's the top of my engine puller. I had a 2,000-pound winch. I bolted onto it and put a cable on the end. So with the battery being right where it's at underneath the floorboards, I hooked the battery up, got a little switch, and I'll hook this up to the transmission. Hopefully I can just pull it out and lower it down. Be a piece of cake. So, and then also got the Pioneer rack put back on. Just got to repaint all the tools and then reattach them, but it's looking pretty good. I want to get some artificial grass put on the inside here. Inside. Yeah, oops. That's the plan. But this is Friday night, April 28th. I got just Saturday to work on this. I got to head out to the Elks Lodge on Sunday, hang out with the old man, watch a little NASCAR, and throw back some Modelo's. So I'll get as much done tonight, get it all prepped, and then maybe tomorrow I'll come out real easy. That's what I'm hoping for. So there we are. Update on Oddball. This is video 1 of the clutch, or the throwout bearing. Hopefully it doesn't need a clutch. I'm hoping I can get inside there, take a look. It doesn't seem to. It doesn't really, chatter around or, slip or anything. But if I got the transmission off, hope I can see inside. And hopefully I don't need to do the clutch, because I am not wanting to pull that cross member And let's see, you got to pull the cross member, the clutch linkage, the master cylinder's got to come loose, and there I am. All that, there's a cross shaft that goes across there, and you got to support the motor with some blocks. And it'd just be a lot of work. But I'd rather do it now if it needs it, because I got, let's see, 5, 6, I'm running out of weekends for the 4th of July here, so I got to get on it. All right, check back for part 2 later. Semper Fi. Hi, good afternoon. April 29th, 2023. Got started on pulling the transmission to change the throwout bearing. It's kind of hard to film anything when you're leaning through these little, command car doors, trying to work on getting all the parts off the transmission, but it goes pretty quick. Let me flip it around and show you what we've done so far. All right, let's see what we got out of the shade here, or in the shade. Got the top cover off. Those bolts were not too hard to get off. I think the cover's been off before. Pulled out the linkage there for the transfer case and all the components, emergency brake. And I cut the speedometer cable because it's disconnected. Apparently there's something wrong with it, so I wasn't going to try to undo it. It's not leaking, so I'll just leave that alone. Now I'm going to crawl under and drain the fluid, which was pretty low. I was quite surprised. I didn't bother changing the fluid when I did the rest of the oils because I knew I was going to do the throwout bearing. So I got to do that now. Drop that, or drop the drive shaft, and then I took my bolts that I showed you in the first video. I cut the heads off, and I cut a little notch in them so that I could screw them in. I'll be down here so I can show you what I'm doing here. A little notch for a screwdriver, and I gotta do it with 2 hands. But basically, you screw those in, one on the top on each side. So I go to pull it out, it slides right out past the pilot bearing and the clutch, so it doesn't mess up the alignment. And then you can take and unscrew those and then drop the transmission or pull it out. And also for lining up, put it back in, just makes it that much easier. So that's a quick update. I'm going to get underneath here in the shade, drop the drive shaft, do the fluid, and then put the engine hoist together. And I'll probably pop back on real quick to show dropping the transmission. All right, I'll be back momentarily in a minute. All right, as you could probably guess, I am currently underneath the 1941 Dodge, Mr. Oddball here, dropping the little drive shaft here. Wait, that's the wrong drive shaft. This drive shaft, the output shaft from the transmission to the transfer case. I don't even know what side's up. Let me spin this around. Let's spin around here. Whoa, here we go. Let's go for a wide angle. All right, here's the transmission. There's the emergency brake, and this is the output shaft to the divorce transfer case that weighs like 9,000 pounds. I know that because I tried to put it in without a jack. Lessons learned. All right, so I'm undoing the bolts here, letting this drain. Quite a bit of metal came out, so I'm not really happy about that. But I got everything up top unbolted. I got a chain across the top. I got my cherry picker all set up. I'm going to get some carburetor cleaner. I'm going to spray the inside what I got up here and try to flush out as much as possible. Then I'm going to take the flywheel cover off while I'm down here. And then I'm probably going to go have myself a burrito for lunch, come back and hook the cherry picker up and slide this transmission out. And that will be the big unveiling. So, little baby steps today. Back's not doing too good, so just a couple hour projects, but probably gonna wind up taking all day, but we'll get her done. We only got like a couple months for the 4th of July parade, and I have no idea what parts I might need to order if I find something wrong in here. So keep it posted. We'll come back a little later after I get a burrito in my belly. Semper Fi. All right, we're back after lunch. Transmission's all unbolted. I got my engine hoist. I adapted with a 2,000 pound 12 volt ATV winch that I got for another project. But I bolted up to my engine hoist, added this little extension piece because the transmission isn't that heavy, so still didn't want it falling on me. But I got it all loose, got some tension on it. You can see it's already pulled away. I'm gonna go get me a carpet dolly. I think I got somewhere out back, and that way I can just slide the transmission out and then lower it down on the ground. and then take a look at the clutch and the flywheel and the throwout bearing and everything else is in there. Hopefully I'm not opening up too big of a can of worms, but the day is still early, and I got a credit card I paid off not too long ago. So there's my apparatus that I'm using to save my back, my knees, and my shoulders, and it seems to be working. So all right, I'll come back when I get the transmission on the ground. All right, just crawled out from underneath old Oddball there. The transmission's not that heavy. I just have no way going to lift that up underneath there, so I'm cheating with the crane that I built. But getting it out right off the bat, I noticed one major problem. Yeah, that front input bearing is shot. So coming over here, what I thought was maybe the problem with my nice organized tool bench is the throwout bearing. Yeah, it is making a lot of noise. It you know, no rattle rattle. But that's not the only problem. So I'm going to clean up, look into the parts I'll need to rebuild the transmission, and see what I need to do, because that wasn't it. And that's the problem with digging into old cars, like our old trucks, old cars, old tools. You don't know what you're going to get until you get into it. You know, I kind of knew that going into it, but this transmission is pretty common. It was used in a lot of applications. The gears don't look bad. You know, I found some metal when I drained the fluid. I think that's from that front bearing. Actually, you can see there's ball bearings missing. Wow, okay, that's a good sign. That means I know exactly what I need to replace. I didn't notice that until I had it up on the bench. You can see there's a big gap in the ball bearing. So there's no way this is going back in the way it is, but bare minimum, I can replace the bearings and the seals without rebuilding the whole transmission. I hope I can get that in from the outside. I'll have to wait and see. But, you know, it's a puzzle. That's what this stuff was for, man. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? Yeah, everybody would be doing it. All right, so I'm going to pause for a minute, clean up what I got going on right here, regroup, maybe get some Maker's Mark in me, and move on from there. Well, I didn't think I was going to be back so soon, but after pulling the clutch out, see if we can get a view. Those bolts are all been rubbed against the clutch plate. It looks like to me the clutch was put in. So you can see the shiny right there. It's all flattened out. Looks like it was replaced not too long ago. That explains why some of the bolts were loose I had on here. But it was put in backwards. So apparently this side goes in. I mean, I already test fitted it, fits right. Obviously going the other direction it was hitting. So the pressure plate looks good. Just going to sand it up. I'm going to order a new disc plate, clutch plate, because these springs, a couple of them are really thin. And if one of those comes apart and starts throwing pieces around, it's just not worth the headache. So I think it's about $100 for the whole entire clutch. The plate and the pressure plate and the new disc was around $300. I think it's around $125 for just the plate. The bushing and the crankshaft isn't too bad. It's got a little bit of play in it. I mean, once I get the bearing, if I can get one, I'll replace it. But it's these little things like this that could turn a couple-hour job into a couple-day job. You know, you start to pull that, you try to pull that out, and next thing you know, 3 days later, you're pulling the motor and sending the crank down to a machine shop. You know, that's kind of my luck. But like I say, I'm not 100% positive I'm going to replace that or not, being that this isn't a daily driver. But like I said, I got to find a bearing for the transmission. Got to find another clutch disc, and I got a lot on my plate right now. So I'm going to add this to it. But this is one of the 3 things I want to do. This is the least. So I'll keep you posted. And yes, it's got a few little burnt spots on here, but I was just saying that it's smooth. You don't feel any lips or grooves in there, so they never wore the clutch out. But like I say, it was out of adjustment when I got it. But all right, we'll get this fixed up. We got plenty of time. All right, here we are, Sunday, April 30th. There's my Chingaderas I used to pull the transmission out. There's a transmission sitting over there. But thanks to everybody on Facebook on the WC Dodge Weapons Carrier page, I've got a lot of good information. I got a part number for the bearing, which I ordered last night, so hopefully I'll have it here by next week. Come to find out, there is no seal in this bearing retainer. I know I've done some T10s and other transmissions. They got a little seal that goes in the center. These early ones don't have a seal, so that's good. Problems with the clutch still. My flywheel on the truck has 8 bolts, and it should only have 4. So it's got a different crankshaft in the motor, because the markings on the motor, what is it, T114 or something like that? It is the earlier small motor, but it has a bigger crankshaft, so who knows what's going on there. So I'm going to order another clutch disc probably. I just don't trust, you can see these springs are wore down. I don't know what I'm going to do. I got to figure out what to do with that, because it's not the right flywheel. But we're going to hold off that for a minute. The whole thing, I started this whole project was to replace the throwout bearing, which is a little, it was making some noise, but all the noise was coming from that bad bearing. But I just figured out this is pressed on, so I just unpressed that bearing, and now I'm going to press on this one. And other than that, I'm kind of at a standstill. I still want to clean the transmission up a little more. Where'd she go? Oh, there she is. Get the pressure washer out, clean her up, see if there's any more damage. I'm afraid to look. Man, I don't need any more problems with this. But good news is I got a few parts on order. Worst case scenario, I'm just going to put it back the way she was, get her through the parade, and then work on a different power plant down the road, possibly. All right, so that's your Sunday update. This video is going to take a little bit longer than I thought. So I might just end this series here on the waiting on parts, and we'll come back when I get the parts together and do an installation video. That way I don't have a 4-hour long disaster. All right, have a great weekend. May's right around the corner. Start the month off with a positive attitude, and hope you all have a great day and Semper Fi.